Hello and welcome to Property Mastermind Podcast, episode 165. Today, a treat. I am interviewing Jeromie Hantzi from Fern Investment Group. Jeromie is one of our success stories, and you're going to enjoy learning how Jeremie's done it, what it takes, and how he's achieving his dream, and what his plans are for the future. So let's jump on into episode 165. But before we kick off this fabulous interview, I need to give away the fabulous secrets of property millionaires exposed. And this week, this goes to Trina Allen. Trina, this is in the post to you. Congratulations. It's always nice to receive something, isn't it? Okay, so that's for you. And the next thing I need to remind you is that we have our free 4-hour masterclass this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. There'll be a link below if you'd like to register for that. You'll need to register to receive the Zoom link. Now, what happens in the 4-hour masterclass is Bob goes through the 9-step process to property development. It's a fantastic event. He also covers creative strategies. And when he does those, he goes through 4 of them. So the 4 he covers are joint venture with a landowner, call options, joint venture with an equity partner, and a DA uplift. So that's how you can learn to do property development with little or no money of your own. So please join us for this great 4-hour session this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Remember, like I said, the link's below. Now let's carry on with this week's episode with the amazing Jeromie Hantzi. Hello, so 165, and we've got the pretty supercharged Jeromie Hantzi here today, and I'm pretty excited to be talking to Jeromie. Has been part of the Property Mastermind mentoring program. Everyone who goes through our program knows that you pretty much never leave it. So I happened to comment on something that he was doing on the weekend, flying a plane. I thought, of course you're flying a plane. And next thing, he calls me up at 7:30 on a Saturday and we have a bit of a chat. So I thought, hey, I think I need to get that on the Property Mastermind podcast so people can understand his journey and what it's been like for him to go through the Property Mastermind mentoring program and to achieve the thing that he wants to achieve. So Jeromie, welcome and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. That was a lot, Hilary. You're excellent at that.
Let's be honest. I had to do a take 2. The first time I wonkied it up, but that happens. Life's not perfect, and that leads us to property development. There will always be challenges. So, Jeromie, let's start before we get on to what you're currently doing. Let's start with why did you choose Property Mastermind?
Yeah, no, it was the mentoring program for me. It was the only real choice. I had a look, and maybe this is revealing some of the secrets. Before I actually went back in time on a lot of the Property Mastermind social media sources and social media pages, and I contacted ex-mentoring students, and I also went to other competitors and did the same thing. And I found out that basically Property Mastermind was just head and shoulders above the rest. Hands down.
Ooh.
So this was I went back, I'm saying years and years, and contacted people and I contacted a lot of people, and I used that method to find out that there was really no option if I wanted to take myself seriously.
Okay, hand on heart, I did not know that was coming, and I didn't know you'd done that. So, oh wow, Jeromie, that's awesome to hear. So you decided to sign up. Now, signing up for a mentoring program, it's the next step. There are options. People can buy a course and do it on their own. What made you choose mentoring as an option, as opposed to just buying the bundle and having the online course and coming to a workshop? What made you choose mentoring where we do the handhold? What was the difference for you?
The difference, Hillary, what I really wanted was the speed. So I was in my property journey at the time. I was dealing with issues. I was doing things, and I figured out that in the months or years preceding before I decided to do that, it was taking me a certain amount of time to get there. And I realized if I knew just before I signed up to the mentoring program, if I knew what I knew just before I signed up when I started, I would have
Yeah,
been there 6 months ago. So I
yeah.
realized that if I can get someone like you and Bob on my side in a year or two's time, that's just going to accelerate me to such a level that where it's going to put me in a place, it's going to accelerate me maybe about 10 years, I think is probably the reality.
Yeah, the speed up. So you did say and alluded to what you were currently doing. So you at the time were in a job. What were you doing? What was your background prior to moving on to becoming a property developer?
got a pretty varied background, Hilary.
I know that one. Okay,
Flying
I'll
planes.
just park up. Yeah.
I can summarize. Do you want the longer version or the shorter version?
Oh, just kind of a mediocre
The
one. Something
media
in
one.
between would be good.
Yeah, okay. So I got a few years' experience. I owned a real estate agency where I bought and sold
Yes.
houses for people. That was interesting. That was an incredible ride. And a large varying background in construction. So a whole bunch of different things, including mainly concrete, power poles, houses, just building stuff. So 10 years of building stuff and a few years of running my own real estate firm is the shorter end.
Mm. I could see you doing real estate and doing it quite well, Jeremy. You have the ability to communicate with people and build rapport reasonably quickly. Yeah, if someone, that's kind of something, fellow communicator, that's something that it's a bit of an easy thing for you. So someone like yourself, sales would be reasonably simple. And sales doesn't necessarily mean selling something. It means and connecting, influence and being able to connect reasonably quickly. So then the goal was to leave to start property developing and leave the job you were doing, and you had to deal with that, both things happening at the same time. And
Yes.
talk us through what that was like, because I remember some of those times, Jeremy. I remember those phone calls with you.
Wow. There's a lot in that when transitioning. I think the main keynotes are be prepared to be under a bit more stress than what you think it's going to be. It's going to take a lot more work than you think it's going to, and it's going to take longer than you think it's going to take. If you're okay with that, then go for it. I think the transition from full-time work to full-time property developer, there's a reason that not many people have done it. It's because it's a difficult thing to do, and I think that's also what makes it great and what makes it special.
Mm, that's that double up time when you're learning what you need to do and applying that knowledge whilst holding down a job. And let's be honest, getting married and having a baby, you didn't just do one thing at once. Just put a hand up. You had a bit going on at the same time. Busy man. So you're right that you didn't find it super easy. You're alluding to the fact that it was reasonably hard. And it was a conversation I had with somebody yesterday. We're sold a story that life's supposed to be hard. No, sorry, that life's supposed to be easy.
Hmm.
But anything worth having isn't easy. We've got to put the
Yeah.
work in. And so, how did you deal with that? What gave you the strength not to give up? What gave you that mindset? Where did that resilience come from?
The resilience came from I've actually speaking to my friends about this exact topic for the last couple of weeks. So I think I've
Nice.
nutted that one out. I grew up, I say, poor middle class, and I think what was driving me was I was running away from that. So it was something that I've experienced before, which was, not. Of course, I was fed. My parents took care of me. That was fantastic. It was the desire to achieve something that I hadn't seen anyone achieve before. That was really it. So running away from having a feeling. I'm not sure if you've ever had this. Not being able to put fuel in your car. You go to the shops and you're worried, can I buy food today? It's what was driving me was running away from that more so than running towards something, because I think the idea of and everyone's idea of wealth can be different, but my idea of what I'm running to, I don't know what it looks like yet. But the to go back to the main driver is really running away from that.
So it's you're being driven by the stick and not the carrot.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's very much an more likely Eastern culture than Western culture. So that in my field, there's a higher percentage of the Eastern culture is driven by that,
Mm.
and the Western culture is less likely. But can, and I think probably a lot of people listening could relate to that. At times, there's a reason we do something because we don't want an outcome, rather than staying there and waiting for look for the big picture and going towards something. So, what is the big picture, Jeremy? You said you don't have a clear vision, but you have
Yeah.
a blurry one. Tell me your murky vision.
Oh no, in regards to the vision of where I'm going, I know where that is. That's crystal clear in regards to business. I was just specifically talking about I don't know what my life will look like
Oh
once I
no,
get there.
yeah.
It's because at the moment it's just work and taking care of clients and doing all those sorts of things. And yeah, I don't think unless you know anyone knows their reason. They really understand their reason. I don't think they're going to achieve what they think they want to achieve.
Mm.
'Cause
You're driven by your why.
I'm driven to give her the best life that I can.
Oh, you mean your wife. I said your why,
Oh, the
and you went to
wife.
the
Oh,
wife. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think you've got both there. Yes. Yeah. Say that again because that is important to you, and this has come up many times in our conversations.
yeah, no, I'm driven. One of the things I'm doing is I'm trying to provide a life for my family that was better than mine. I think that is the job of every parent, which is to set their children up in a manner and give them a life that is better than what they were raised in. So that's one thing. That's one thing that is driving me right now. And as you know, as we've just discussed, I've had my first child, and yeah, I'm looking to be the best person I can for her
Mm.
and provide her with opportunities that I didn't have.
Mm. And just a heads up, I had a very cute video sent to me today. So she's just starting to walk, and oh my gosh, it's so cute on the move. So, goodness, not even one, and taking those first action steps. She's a lot like her dad, I think, this young lady. We're going to do everything early at pace, and there'll be nothing slowing her down. So, Jeremy, I know a team is important to
Mm.
you, and talk to me about your development team because that's something you often talk about. And
Yeah.
before I came onto this, Bob and I had talked, and I said I'm talking with Jeremy, and he said that he's all about the team. And he also mentioned to bring up the problem that you had with a town planner and how that affected your development.
Okay, so we'll start with the team one. I think there is possibly nothing more important. First of all, you need to get yourself in order, and you need to know what your goals are and where you're headed to. And then once you do know that, realizing that you can't do it alone. I think Bob speaks about it a lot about how many years of education and years of experience that a property developer leverages to actually achieve a deal and to get something done. So that's why I believe team is one of the most important things, because these are the people that actually have, they're doing a lot of the work. As a developer, you're looking down and you're looking around, and you're controlling, you're pulling the strings, you're the puppet master. But at the end of the day, each individual process is coordinated by a person, and they take a specific amount of time, and they provide and they give you a certain quality of work. So if that's the input and the output's money, the better the input, the better the output's going to be. And in property development, I think if you don't have a great team, it can go the other way. And that's something I focus on as well, is lowering risk. Background in trading, so that's what I do most of the time, is actually trying to figure out ways I can lower risk for my clients, because I know once I've done the FISO, I know the sales prices. Try not to use developer slang and terminology, but I know what the houses are going to sell for and what the products are going to sell for in the end. So I basically use myself and leverage my team with decades of experience to get that risk as close to zero as possible, just to make sure that all my clients make money. We can make a return.
Yeah, perfect. So talk to us about that time that you in the early days and you ended up with a town planner that was, I don't know, you could choose the word you wish to use there, but with the impact that that had, and what happens when you do get a team member that isn't a team member or doesn't really live up to your expectation. Maybe they've oversold and underdelivered.
Mm. I think a bad person on the team can definitely cost you time. And this particular one, this is what it cost me. The worst case scenario in my book is if someone lies. So if you think the problem is this, and the problem's actually, even if it's the same or of similar level, but it's not exactly that, and you're solving and you're trying to figure that problem out, what you're doing by not having a really good team member in that same scenario where someone's lied is you're attacking and you're fixing a problem that doesn't exist.
Mm.
So this sort of comes back to the team, where if you have a town planner that is specifically lying or misleading or lying by omission or doing some things which we would never do, that as a developer and as the puppet master of your own show, that's definitely going to cost you time and money, headache, and he's going to put you in the wrong place. Because what I find is when you do have those problems and you are solving them and you are fixing them, if you find out that it's not exactly what you thought it was and you fix the problem that doesn't exist, that's very time consuming and frustrating. And that's why I focus on team and lowering risk as much as possible, because as we both know, the more that you can do that and the more that you can quicken these processes up. And if you know that the work's really good, that just means the development's going to be an absolute cracker.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it when you said it's the input from the team and the output's the money at the other end. Perfect. But you also mentioned that it costs time, and the thing
Mm.
when you're in property development is time costs money because money is interest and or accumulates interest and accrues interest, and that's where the problems can lie when you get a team member who's just not playing ball.
I think
And
in regards to that as well, Hilary, it costs you time, but also I think over a time span of many years and many iterations of a deal. So, for example, when I work with a client, I don't want to do one or two. I want to do 10. I want to work with someone for 30 years. And so, when you're
yes.
thinking over a 30-year time frame, if each development is taking 6 months more, you just do some back of the envelope math on that. It's costing you millions of dollars.
Yeah. And that's actually a really good point, Jeremy. We often you're talking investors, your model is money, investors' money, some of your own money, everyone makes a profit, win-win situation. But you nailed something there. And that's you want an investor to go, wow, what a great experience. I
Mm.
want to do that again. And we do the same. It's about everyone has a good experience and mitigating. I don't like the word risk because we throw the word risk into property development, but there is just as much risk in so many other things, but it doesn't get
Yeah.
put there. How many times have you used ChatGPT to try and find another word that says risk? Oh my goodness, I have so many times. I was like, there's got to be a better word than risk, because every time we see it we all freak out and go risk, and it's not. There is people
Yeah.
do share trading and don't even think about it, but that word isn't put with it, and yet
Mm.
it's more risky, I believe. Yeah,
Yeah, maybe I've been desensitized
yeah,
to the word risk. But what I will add is I am risk aware, not risk averse. I think
yes,
if you're going into things and you're not aware of the possible risks, there's no way you can mitigate them. So maybe I should stop using that word. But yeah, if you're going into something and you don't know what the dangers are, then you're in real trouble.
yeah. I think that's just people that think they can Google it. Yeah. What are your thoughts on googling the answers to property development, or googling property development, or trying to learn it via a podcast? Someone asked me the other day, so what's the difference between the course and the podcast? I'm like, are you serious? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can drill down on this one. I think the difference is intent. If you're Googling something and you're receiving information from the internet, what is the intent of the person that has put that information there? So I'll give maybe two scenarios. One scenario is the intent is a kind-hearted, great person who's incredibly attractive, who runs a great business named Property Mastermind, who's got decades of experience, and that really wants to help you. And they're putting things on the internet. Um, they're looking to have a shared value where they provide value and you receive value in return. So you're exchanging some of your money for some of their time where they can really give you an acceleration into something. And the other alternative is if someone's intentions are they're not very experienced and they're just trying to make quick money on the internet. And for example, let's say that someone thinks, oh, compared to this other business, I think I can market a bit better. So I'm going to spend some money on marketing. I've got basically no experience and I'm just going to sell people some stuff. And then once they buy the stuff or buy the course, I'm just going to leave them alone. I think it comes down to if you Google something, you need to understand the intent of why the people have put that information on there. And if you move forward understanding what their intent is and also their experience, you're a lot better equipped to do yourself and your family service, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. And even, going into online communities, which is great. Everyone, it's another way of networking and that's awesome. But I'm always looking at the intent of the person answering the question.
Mm.
What's the reason? How much spare time does someone have? There are reasons for doing that. And, y-
I'm with
I,
you.
yeah, like seriously. Yeah. How much spare time does someone really have? But there is always there is intent, and I think we could probably drop that one there. So, Jeremy, let's talk about your current development. What's going on there? So you talk us through it.
Okay, so at the moment, what I'm doing, Hilary, is I'm still working to build a team and I'm working to do a certain style of development, which is a 1 into 2 or 1 into 3, 1 into 4, depending on the site. Subdivision and building some houses on it. So basically, the model is I've just partnered with a fantastic builder, and we've basically got the prices right down to a point that most people probably wouldn't believe. what we can build a house for at the moment. And we're going to use that, and we're going to buy properties where there's room to fit additional houses on them, and we're going to build additional houses and then subdivide them and sell them. Basically, that's the.
That's the model. But you are already doing that. So you're
Oh
just going
yes,
to do that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
so and you're building then subdividing. That's the council you work with. Some people have to subdivide then build. Some people have to build then
yeah.
subdivide. But you're building and then subdividing. So you've got a new builder on track, and
Mm,
congratulations for that. You've teamed up, and it's a partnership you now have with him, isn't it?
yeah.
An
It's
agreement. Yeah.
yeah. It's really. I'm not, I'm not sure how much I can say over the
No,
internet, but
I wouldn't. Yeah.
yeah, it's phenomenal. I've been looking to work with them for 2 years, and just through current circumstances and persistence, they've agreed, and they've been around a very long time. They've been around longer than I've been alive. This builder,
Perfect. Yeah.
and yeah, so they've agreed through my persistence and having a look at my track record that we're going to work together moving forward.
And so when it comes to the design stage or that side of things,
Mhm.
whose role is that? Is that your role, or you're getting somebody else to do that, or how are you working on that? Or is that will that be on this new model working with the builder? How's that going to work for you? Who does what role in this case now that you're going to work like that?
Yeah, in this particular circumstance, I'll be the puppet master. I'll be overseeing it,
Yep.
but we've actually got a couple of teams that we work with. There's one design team that I work with that I've given a brief, and they know exactly what I'm looking for, which
Yep.
is for the architect to work with the builder in a manner that the house is designed to meet a few requirements. Basic feng shui, but basically the idea is that the house is designed in a way which makes it incredibly easy and fast to build. So I
Yeah.
just oversee that, and I facilitate the communication between the architect and the builder to make sure that that becomes a reality. And the other option is the builder's got some previous designs that they've used before, which meet those criteria. And if those designs fit on a block and it works, we'll just use those designs, which again will only speed up the process.
Yeah, perfect. And what are they thinking is going to be the on average build time for? Are we doing three and two? What are you doing? Three, two,
Uh,
two, or?
yeah, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2 car garage.
Mhm.
And average build time at the moment, they're putting them out in about 4 months, a little bit less than four
No,
months.
what
Yeah,
the heck? Out the gate.
yeah.
Well done. Okay. And how are you finding sites right now?
It's it's actually getting easier than it was a few months ago.
Yep.
I'm not sure when this podcast is coming out, but historically, I've been
Jeremy, this is
finding.
Hilary from Property Mastermind. It's coming out tomorrow.
Oh, lovely.
No,
Okay.
Friday. It'll be out Friday. It'll be out on Friday the 6th.
Okay.
Today's Wednesday the 4th. Yes.
All right. Awesome. Well, then it's up to date information as of Friday the 6th. It's becoming easier. It was a little bit more difficult previously because when the build prices come up and the housing prices stayed the same, obviously that makes it a little bit harder to find sites. But at the moment, I'm consistently finding maybe 3 a month that really work.
Perfect.
Yeah,
How
and that's
good.
and I'm not trying that hard either. So if we need to push those limits and find some more, then that's something we can do as well.
I had the same conversation with another mentoring student this morning. He actually booked in to have a chat with me, and he said, "Hilary, I just have to tell you, because sometimes when people get stuck, I say just book in with me every week." And so we only had to do it once. We booked in. And I said I gave him my session, the
Yeah,
hit him with a stick session. So
yeah.
yeah, I gave him the big push along. And he rang me to say, "Oh my gosh, I found one. I bought it. He'd purchased, so it was probably about a few weeks ago because that it happened, and then he went on holiday because he's about to have a baby as well, or his wife's about to have a baby as well. So they went on their baby moon, but." He was so excited, and he said the same thing. He goes,
Mm,
"Now we've been looking in the same area where he's just purchased," and he said, I think I found another one, and I think there's another one as well." So that's pretty exciting stuff that two
yeah.
of you in completely different areas, I know where you both do your stuff, are finding multiple deals now. Oh gosh, no cats out of bags here, but finding deals that are stacking up. And how do you feel about now? The squeak noise potentially of interest rates coming down. How does that make you feel?
I am so excited for this because at the
Yes.
moment I've got some deals that I've done some rough calculations in my head, and if interest rates come down now, so what I believe that's going to do, this is not financial advice, is when the interest rates come down, people don't really care about how much they pay for something. They care about how much they can afford month to month.
Mm.
So typically, when rates come down, prices go up. So I'm super excited about that because when the rates start coming down, house prices are going to start going up just when I start selling some of my stock. So that's incredibly exciting, and that'd be great. But if it doesn't, that's fine too, because I think if you've got your FISOs done right, then it doesn't matter if rates go up or down.
Perfect. And you just brought up a great point then when you sell your stock. So you're a couple of years into your property development journey, and Bob talks about building up your war chest if you're starting without that huge chunk of cash. How long until Mr. Jeromie Hantzi from Fern Investment Group, make sure I get it right, it's investment, not investments, from Fern Investment Group, starts keeping stock? Do you see yourself keeping stock at any point, or what's the plan for you with that?
Yes, and that's something I've been working towards. And what I'm specifically doing is I'm going to use my strategy that I'm currently using with myself and my clients to generate the cash and to generate the capital in the war chest, and then I'm going to develop specifically to keep
Yep.
development. So instead of I'm going to be a lot more targeted and a lot more specific with these particular ones.
Mm.
So I'm just going to keep stacking cash basically until I find something that meets a certain requirements, and I'm looking for something like housing multiple HMOs, and just places that are higher yield than a
Yep.
normal development.
Yep.
Because I've got my system, I can take the cash out of developments for myself and my clients at the moment. And I haven't fully developed it yet, but I've got a pretty good idea. It might end up being something like a 2 or 3 story, 12 unit apartment complex, and start building something like that, stuff like that to keep rather than I'm just going to, get halfway through a development. I'm just going to keep this. I'm thinking a bit more specific and longer term to try and build something in a really good spot that's going to age well and provide cash flow to replace income and secure the lifestyle that I'd like to give my family.
Yes, those around you are becoming well accustomed to, I think we could say, Jeremy.
Yeah,
Jeremy's goal was once my wife starts having children, I don't want her to go back to work. I want her to stay home, and that's what she wanted to do as well. So you've
yeah.
been able to provide that for Fern. Anyway, let's talk then, because you brought forward another point about investors and keeping stock. So obviously there's going to be different structures required for that. Have you started opening up the door to, with any of your current investors yet, or you're still waiting? It's a couple of years away, do you think?
No, it's going to be a couple of years away. I'm not sure. I think that's going to be possibly the only thing that I'm going to provide to investors that have been around a while,
Yep.
because that's something special and it's a bit of a side project, and I'd say it's separate to the property development business. So I've got the property development, which is generating lumps of cash every so often. You've got the cash coming in, and this is more of a different thing where it's going to take a bit of time. I'd say it's going to take a little bit of time for me to set up and to find the perfect sites. And I think that'll be something that I offer, to people that have been around a while, as just sort of like a thank you for working with me and being around for a while. Let's do one together, and let's provide a really solid cash flow for the rest of our lives and hopefully our children's lives as well.
Yeah, perfect. I'm loving it. So, Jeremy, what happens to Jeremy Hantzi when he gets stressed out, when things aren't going his way, when his town planner turns out to be not the town planner he desired? How do you deal with that pressure? And yeah, how do you deal with it? What's your go-to? Do you just hop inside a bottle of bourbon? What do you do?
Well, yeah,
Swim your way out, or do you go for a run?
that town planning thing, I'll put that in the nicest way possible. Also
Yes.
for that, yeah, that was not good. But no, actually, what I do is I fight people and I smoke cigars. So
You fight people and like karate, like in a controlled environment. You're not
yes, yeah,
talking
yeah, yeah. I
pump
don't go to the
rules. Yeah,
pub
yeah.
and just hey you, like no.
No, okay.
No, it's definitely a controlled environment. There's a ring. Everyone's agreed. Like it's
Yes.
all it's all well and good. But no, what works really well for me, Hilary. I think this is possibly not for everyone, but I'll get a cigar that's going to take me 1 or 2 hours to smoke. I'll sit by
Mm.
myself. last week, I planted a tree a few years ago in my backyard. I sat under that tree for an hour and a half, 2 hours, smoked a cigar, and used that time to reflect and also to see what comes to my mind. So instead of worrying about certain things, I just sort of let them ruminate and let myself sit there. And normally, what happens is I won't have a proper solution for the problem that I'm facing in the moment, but what I will have is a direction to head to that gets me closer to the solution.
Yeah, perfect. So not pushing for the answer, just sitting with it and let it come to you, or some options of moving forward. Yeah, and I did know it was cigars because we spoke about that on Saturday morning. You were outside having a cigar, and I said, "What? You having a what?" So, Jeremy, when did you want to become a property developer? How old were you when property development was the thing you wanted to do?
Early 30s for
Is
property
that like
development.
last? Is that like last year?
Yeah, that's like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, no.
Um, yeah, no, property development came to me is because I realized I wanted something which was the what we spoke about before, running away from something and wanting
Yep.
some sort of financial security for my family. And what I realized is what that property developers were making all the money. And it wasn't necessarily that I had some dream to be a property developer per se. I had a place I wanted to be, and I realized that property development was the best vehicle to get me there,
Mm.
and I was
And you
just willing to do whatever it took to achieve certain goals. And property development was just so there's the goal. I've met property developers, had a look around, had a chat to you and Bob, realized that this can actually definitely work. I just realized, all right, there's the goal. Here's a vehicle. I'm just going to jump in this one because this one looks like the best one I can possibly find.
Yeah. And too many people just are in life and they're driving along and they pull up in a car park and they forget to pull back out. They get stuck in something they're
Mm,
not loving and they don't start heading toward their dreams. And that's something about you, Jeremy. You're very goal orientated. Takes one to know one. I'm driven by the goal as well. Totally understand that. That's probably why you and I often have a chat. It's like, what's the goal? What are you doing? Like, where are we heading? What's going on now? It's almost a little bit scary for some people, but we're very goal driven. Where did that come from? Was that mum? Was that dad? Was that the growing up environment? Not just the stick. You still have to have something inside you that makes you want the next goal. So where did that come from?
yeah. Well, in regards to that, I think I don't know. I need to put a caveat. Like my parents were great; they were fantastic parents. But in regards to the where the drive comes from, I think I think that goes back to the point I made earlier is running away from something more
Still,
than running
yep,
towards something. I think having a think about it deep down, I think that's what it is. I mean, I like cars, I like race cars, I like bikes, I like drifting, all that sort of stuff. But that's not what gets me out of bed. That's not what is the driver. I do think that the driver deep down is the stick for me personally. It might be
yep,
different for every different
yep.
person, and I'm not sure how far that's going to take me. I might need to replace that with a carrot in 5 or 10 years, but we shall see. But yeah, for now, that is what drives me.
I don't know, Jeremy, because you've even though I've asked different kind of questions, it's come back to that. So that's obviously very important to you. And maybe each time you get to the goal, which you've got
Mm,
to so many of your goals already, and every time you get there, you just replace it with another one. So
yeah,
it's like, are you assuming one day that the stick will just fade and it might go, and then it's like, oh, there's no longer a stick. Do I still move forward without it, or have I got momentum by myself? What I get it. What are you saying that might be? And I suppose that's something you don't know. There's probably one area of your life that you've got to where you wanted to be. I don't know, maybe married with children. So that
yeah.
was probably a goal you had once upon a time, and now you've achieved that, or with a child. But so if you look at that, that's achieved. So then what did you replace that with?
I I replaced that with by doubling down. Okay, now I'm married with children. How am I going to take care of them?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was very natural, and that was yeah, that was good. But I'm not sure, to be perfectly frank, Hilary. I've got a plan, and I think I'm going to be head down, bum up for the next 5-10 years,
Yep.
most definitely. And then we'll just see where it goes because I don't want to talk too far and too ahead of where I've currently got planned and what's happening with myself and the people around my life. For example, the investors and people that rely on me. So
Yeah. I would have to say, Jeremy, of all the mentoring students that I've worked with, you're up there amongst the top 5 most driven consistently, because people often are driven, but I can see your consistency in this, just the way you talk, the way you behave. There's definitely a genuineness to you. So anyone who is, thinking about investing in property development, go check out ferninvestmentgroup.com.au. Have a wee look at Jeromie Hantzi, see what he's up to. We'll put some links below too, so you can have a look at what he's doing online. But Jeremy, thank you so much for sharing your journey that you're just partway through. You've been able to leave your job, get into property development, which is just, is always a tick in my box for somebody who does the thing that they want to do. That's just gold. Too many people live a mediocre life. So I want to congratulate you really on your achievements so far. And Bob and I wish you absolute success in your future. And as I say that, I get goosebumps. So yeah, just well done from us for achieving your dream, sticking to it, and yeah, going for it and believing in yourself too. Yeah.
Yeah, I say a sincere and heartfelt thank you from myself and my family for what you and Bob have done. Because, like we were speaking previously, the acceleration and speed that provided in to get me to where I am today, there's no way I could have done it alone. And I think
Yeah.
anyone else thinking, should I go ahead and should I get mentoring with Bob and Hilary? There's not a question. If you take yourself seriously and you do want to do something and you want to move forward towards your goals, there's no other choice. I don't think.
Oh, now we're going to get like the person who goes, right, that's an advertorial written underneath
I
the
don't care.
it's not. He's just saying this. I didn't know this was coming.
I'm
It's
not
so
getting
funny.
paid. I don't.
No. Yeah.
I've got no horse in that race.
Yeah.
Like to say, you know what I mean. I'll just build a relationship with you and Bob and know what the value you provide and think it would definitely provide value to people in the world. And so this
Yeah.
is going back to the sales stuff. I think that's what's the superpower in sales is if you know that what you're actually doing is providing value for people and it's genuinely going to help them,
Mm.
then it makes it easy. I
Mm.
used to be a sales trainer anyway.
Yes, there you go. All right, Jeremy, thank you so much for chatting with me today. This episode will be out, like I said, in 2 days' time. And I just really appreciate you coming on and talking with me. So we'll catch you next week, Jeremy, on our live Q&A, no doubt. But this will be live and we'll look forward to comment below, even just in congratulations to Jeremy for doing so well, for believing in himself and moving forward like so many of our students have. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye for now.